Today I will be talking to you about the National University of Colombia. It's a public institution on a national level. It has 8 campuses in the country. The ninth campus in Valledupar is currently under construction. Out of these 8 campuses, while my presentation is being arranged, out of these 8 campuses, we call 4 of them Andean Presence campuses, which are in Bogota, Manizales, Medellin, and Palmira, and the remaining 4 are of a border presence, which are San Andres and Providence, the Amazon, the Orinoco, and Tumaco. So this pretty much covers the Colombian geography far and wide. It is an entity that is over 200 years old. The national headquarters is in Bogota, as is the case with many Colombian institutions. It is a centralized institution where the largest campus is in Bogota and the following one is in Medellin, which which is the second largest city in the country. I'm the director of the physical management of the Medellin campus. This is a position created towards the end of 2014, but due to the administrative situations of public institutions, my position does not exist on the payroll, so they never appointed a director. So I, as a professor, the vice president, summoned me in July after the holidays, and he makes a strange proposal to me. You have a position, you have no salary. Do you want to take this position just with your professor's salary? So I suspend my teaching activities and I set up the department. This is important in our campus because until August 3rd last year, the infrastructure was spread out throughout the administrative department of the Medellin campus. So when there are problems, the responsibilities and the problems are diluted. So the first step was to create the department, and well, we're a campus, so we have to look at what is our campus. I'm a graduate from the National University Medellin campus. I thought I knew the university as a student. I've been a professor for 15 years at the university. I thought I knew it, but turns out I didn't. Now that I'm a director, I'm getting to know the university and I'm realizing I didn't. So here's a little data. We have 14 plots of land, and they are. We have problems with the slide here. Seems I'll have the same problem as the people from Éxito. Alright, just the numbers. A little over 5.5 million square meters. That's what we have in terms of land. So that was the first piece of information that impacted me. 5.5 million square meters. That to me is a large area in terms of the land we own. And I basically was unaware of them. And now I've had to become aware of them. So 5.5 million. We have almost 129,000 square meters of constructions, which are divided into 192 buildings. So this is just the Medellin campus. At a national level, the institution, well, there's a national planning department, but the campuses work as individual offices, or rather independent institutions. So infrastructure management is done at each campus. Here are the urban campuses. So let me go back a little. So I'll summarize this later, but here we have the details of each of the plots of land. In some of these we can see that nothing has been built. We have lands in the country. You have these two cases, La Esperanza and Santa Rita. There is nothing there whatsoever. We don't do anything there, so we're in a process of selling it. We're making decisions to sell some of the land that was allocated to the university, because if we don't use them, we are in risk of detriment. So we see no chance of using these, so we're going to sell them, and we're trying to improve large pieces of land such as Cotorreo and Corralitos for them to be used. Now, this Santa Rita has something that is worth mentioning. We found problems, legal problems. There were people invading the land, etc. These are common situations in our environment. These are urban campuses. It's basically two of them, but they're divided into 5 pieces of land. So in Medellin, what we know as the National Mining Faculty, it's the one right here. Here we have 2 buildings that are heritage of the country, M3 and M5. There was the famous National Mining School, which creates the Medellin campus, and here we have building 41, which used to be the agronomy building, which was also attached to the university when the campus was created. So these 3 buildings make our lives difficult. Anyone who has buildings that are heritage within their infrastructure will understand. This entire campus is an area of influence, and this entire campus is the area of influence of the heritage buildings. So whenever we're going to develop a project in this land, we need to go to the Ministry of Culture and ask them for permission, and this is an additional step, and we all know how long this takes. So here we see how dense it is, but well, my office is in this block. And we have a small forest within the campus. We have some green campuses, and the challenge is not to occupy more green areas, but rather conserve them and then try to densify in other areas. So we are we work in facility management. Sometimes just from intuition, from perceptions, and we've gotten to know the discipline since last year, but in the campus there was work performed by the former physical planning office. I will show you the timeline where the spaces management department is created for all these areas. You have the 14 plots of land, 6 urban, 8 rural, 192 buildings, 200 classrooms, 119 labs, 416 offices. Our student population is 12,500. We have 1,000 teachers, 1,000 administrative workers, and we have visitors, but we don't know how many visitors we have. Mea culpa. We have to start to solve this problem. We have no access control, and one of the processes that we're going to carry out this year is a gate with all the required technology to start controlling visitor access, visitors from all the world, and be able to know what their dimensions are, and also retrofit the existing gates. We have 10 specialized and independent databases. We have a software, it's called SIA. This is a grading system. The SARA is for personnel, the Hermes is for research, and these are all islands. So there's work that needs to be done in terms of technology to integrate these. We have 588 work positions for teachers, 485 for administrative personnel, 8,382 students can be educated at the university. So this shows us that we have too much space for the students. So only 588 teachers can be sat at an office. Here we have personnel management, integrated information about spaces, furniture, and equipment. So, in this timeline, there's a story I wanted to tell you from 2011. The Medellin campus detected and became aware of its problem with asset management. In 2012, the needs are conceptualized. That's where the players of infrastructure and systems sit down to diagnose and think about the problem. Between 2012 and 2014, there's a space classification inventory and an physical intervention manual is established and defined because in our campus the amount of graduate degrees has increased threefold and the amount of graduate degrees has increased sevenfold. Well, it's been 4 decades since our spaces have been frozen in time with the same physical resources, so to speak. So there's been a colonization process and process of using the existing infrastructure, and we had to put limits on the situation somehow. So, in order for you to get a notion of the university, there's a vice president which governs everyone, but the university has 5 faculties, and the 5 faculties are managed by a dean. But inside of each faculty, the person in charge is the dean. So, in terms of operations, there are several conflicts between the central guidelines and the faculties, and this leads to a very complex infrastructure management. So in 2013 we started to recognize the FM. Management indicators start to be developed. We participate in the FM week. We do needs diagnosis. We participate in a congress in Spain. I wasn't there myself, but others before me went. And in 2015, the terms of reference to implement the management and administration system are defined, and this is on the 3rd of August. This is where I come into the picture. So I start to talk in the first person here. I created a standard. The university has an architecture faculty. The faculty of mining has a very well-known civil works program, and academically we talk about the BIM, the bidding information model. But as a company, we turned our backs on a certain current. So I set a standard, and that is as of August 3rd, 4 projects that were under development in terms of planning. I enter them into a single contract with a single consultant to finish the design studies and to submit the budget. So this is the cornerstone, to use David Martinez's jargon. This is the cornerstone to build what we want to develop towards the future in terms of FM. The first criterion for these projects to be designed is that they have to have sustainability parameters, and it's beyond leaps. This has certain conditions, and you could say that we could certify the building, but when you have a broader awareness, when you think about sustainability, well, this will create more added value for an organization. So sustainability parameters that are comprehensive. These were included in the new projects for our campus. We are now making analysis to start doing pilot programs and start implementing the use of solar energy. I was in 3 Arizona state universities and seeing how according to this we have great potential. We're a tropical country. We have available energy which we're not using, so we're going to run pilot programs to use solar energy, And the other story is that we have a professor that is an expert on lighting. He's been talking about LED lights for a long time, and we didn't have a single LED lighting system. So I said, so it's actually that a single professor didn't disavow completely LED lighting. He thought it was the devil. And this person ended up being my subordinate. So during his holidays, I sent him on vacation. He had accrued quite a few vacation days, and while he was away, I installed 45 LED lights. When he came back from his holidays, he had a tantrum, but after that, everything worked. So now we have the implementation of LED lights, and now we are assessing with a Dutch consultant the possibility we want to make a pilot program with the Faculty of Architecture. The architecture building in Medellin is the building with the worst lighting in the entire campus. We are educating architects with visual problems. So that's an added value there that we need to work on. So we want to use that building to convert to LED lighting while complying with the standards and making it more comfortable for all the users. Towards the end of last year, we created an action plan for the coming 3 years under the current president's administration, and my dream is to implement facility management in the Medellin campus from 2017 to 2018. So this year we're working with a consultant to tell us where we're at and where we can go. It's important not to dream with what is beyond you. So we want to know where we're at, where we can go, and what is the path to do so. So the instructions will be developed for this implementation. Also, we have a planning tool which is called the campus plan, which is contradictory because when you want to develop the project it's used, but when they don't need it, it is just put aside. So we're going to review this campus plan. We're going to develop a 30-year infrastructure plan. We've never had an infrastructure plan for the campus, and this infrastructure plan will be packaged with the PEMP, which is the tool that is most used to be taken to the Ministry of Culture in order to get approval once and for all the projects of the infrastructure plan, and in order to prevent us from having to go for each single project individually to them. So the diagram shows how we're working on strategic planning. You have the action plan. So let's get the slide back on. There's a user problem here. I got a bit excited with the pointer. So since I'm running out of time, did I get the red card yet? No, not yet. So don't make me nervous, please. So in our action plan, we are working towards planning using the tools I mentioned before. In the execution, we're exploring new projects. Public institutions have a lack of resources to operate, but there's also a lack of investment resources because this is actually a sophism because we have resources. 3 years ago, the National University stamp is created, and also for other public universities, and the collection from this is estimated to be some 90 billion pesos. And after a ruling from the State Council, we have people from Ecopetrol might be here, and the ruling from the State Council says that they must collect the earnings from this stamp. So we go to Medellin and say there's no resources. There are resources. What we don't have is projects. So we have 4 projects that have been designed, and we're going to implement the 5th, which is an administrative building. We want to concentrate the administration because the administration has been makeshift. They turned, for example, a classroom into an office, and this shouldn't be so. So we're looking at new projects. This is a building that measures some 10,000 square meters. And we estimate that the entire project will cost some 25 billion pesos. And my task is to develop the studies. And next year I have to take my briefcase and go out and get the resources. Now, re-engineering and retrofitting. This 70% means that 60% of our infrastructure is obsolete. So the 3 heritage buildings are not obsolete. We need to conserve these. But those that are not heritage, well, with those we have some enormous problems. They're feeling old already, and you feel this in the buildings. The water, they're not comfortable. So there's a huge challenge here that we need to face. And in terms of maintenance, and this used to depend on the administrative director, he thought that maintenance was having nice gardens. The buildings were falling apart, but our gardens were spectacular. You saw flowers everywhere, and the buildings were truly falling apart. Now we're doing a comprehensive maintenance management, and you know this already. It's going to be on the slides. I'm not going to talk about this because I'm out of time, but I wanted to tell you that from the National University of Colombia, we know what FM is. We're working to implement it at our campus, and in addition, we're working towards offering training programs, initially diploma courses or extended education, but in the medium term we want to offer graduate and postgraduate degrees in FM because we believe at the university that it is key for academia to be a part of the educational process to do with FM. Thank you very much for your time.